prepaid collect call from
Levi Jonathan,
an incarcerated individual at Polk County South Jail. This call is not private. It will be recorded and may be monitored. If you believe this should be a private call, please hang up and follow facility instructions to register this number as a private number. To accept charges and consent to this recorded call, press 1. To refuse charges, thank you for using Securus. You may start the conversation now.
all praise Jah King. King Jehosaphat is King Asa's son, and the fourth king of Judah after Solomon. Jehosaphat reigned for 25 years. Scripture tells us, Lord was with Jehosaphat because he walked in the first ways of David, taking out the Sodomites and some of the diabolic worshiping places. And he set up Levites as priests and judges in Jahlam. As written, Jehoshaphat's heart was lifted up in Yahweh, and so he was blessed, receiving tribute not only from Judeans, yet Philistines and Arabians as well. Two battles marked the reign of Jehoshaphat, one against the Syrians, the other against the Moabites and Ammonites. In the first recorded battle, Jehoshaphat joins forces with Ahab, the notoriously corrupt king of Israel, who convinces Jehoshaphat to go to battle against the Syrians, a kingdom that was previously an ally to Judah during the reign of Asa, when the father of Jehoshaphat was at war with the other Israelite tribes. Ahab schemes to set Jehoshaphat as a target by persuading him to put thou on thy robes, while Ahab disguises himself. Yet the trick is turned when Jehoshaphat cried out unto Lord, and the Syrians recognized they were pursuing the wrong man, and Ahab was killed by an arrow. Now, if we recall, during the time of Moses, as the Israelites walked through the wilderness, they were instructed to not contend with the Moabites, nor meddle with the Ammonites, whose land was given to these ancestors of Lot for a possession. Likewise, Jah children were commanded to leave the Edomite land to the ancestors of Esau. Yet at the time of Jehoshaphat, the Moabites and Ammonites came up against the Judeans. Because of this, Jehoshaphat feared, and setting himself to seek Jah, proclaimed a fast when he stood before Jah congregation to pray. And he said, O Lord, God of our fathers, not you God in heaven, and rule you over all the kingdoms of the heathen? And in your hand power and might, so that none is able to withstand you? Are not you our God, who did drive out the inhabitants of this land before your people Israel, and gave it to the seed of Abraham, your friend, forever? And they dwelt therein, and have built you a sanctuary therein for your name, saying, if evil come upon us, the sword, judgment, or pestilence, or famine, we stand before this house, and in your presence, for your name in this house, and cry unto you in our affliction, when you will hear and help. And now behold, the children of Ammon and Moab and Mount Seir, whom you would not let Israel invade, when they came out of the land of Egypt, so they turned from them and destroyed them not. Behold, they reward us to come to cast us out of your possession you have given us to inherit. O our God, will you not judge them? For we have no might against this great company that come against us. Neither know we what to do, our eyes upon you. God's Spirit came upon the descendant of Asaph to say, Stand ye and see Jah's salvation. And all Jah people fell to worship before Lord. So as the battle came about, the adversaries destroyed themselves, having fought against one another. The seed of Lot against the inhabitants of Seir, a region given to the Edomites, the seed of Esau. Reminiscent of the modern-day war against Syria, when the foreign-funded rebel armies helped defeat themselves. And so, Jehosophat was saved by Jah. It's true Jehosophat made mistakes, as did his father. He was reprimanded for having joined in league with Ahab, the ungodly, and he took on a business venture with the reigning son of the disgraced Israelite king. Still, his remaining rule was rewarded with rest, for he had fulfilled his obligation by walking in Jah's command, and most of all, he trusted Jah. Jehosophat teaches us, when in doubt, call on Jah, and if we have faith, Jah will save us. A reading from Emperor Haile Selassie at a press conference regarding Somalia. We appreciate this opportunity to meet with you representatives of the press and explain to you certain matters dealing with relations between Ethiopia and the Republic of Somalia that have not up to now received the attention they merit. First, we must accept as an irrefutable fact that the Republic of Somalia is dedicated to a policy of territorial aggrandizement at the expense of her neighbors, and that she appears prepared to pursue this policy by all available means. This policy is written into Somalia's constitution. Somalia's claims to Ethiopian territory have been repeated by her leaders, not once, but many times. By contrast, Ethiopia's policy with respect to Somalia has been that the boundary established between the two countries should be respected by both. Ethiopia has never menaced or threatened Somalia, and we are asserting no territorial claims of any sort against her. In the family of nations, there are countries with populations even smaller than that of the Republic of Somalia that nonetheless live in peace and in harmony with their neighbors. However, Somalia's leaders, inspired by their expansionist policy, have resorted to force and false propaganda, have attacked Ethiopia, and shed innocent blood in pursuit of their objectives. We have explained in the past the consequences and the dangers inherent in this policy, and we shall continue to do so. We have expressed our sorrow that this policy continues, and we hope that the people of the Republic of Somalia have recognized the truth of what we have said. The Somalia leaders have chosen to execute their expansionist policy in a variety of ways, ranging from falsehood to force. The Somalia government has sent armed bandits into the territories of Ethiopia and Kenya, where they attack, rob, loot, and then flee into the shelter of the Republic of Somalia. At the same time, the government of Somalia has carried on an intensive and malicious press and radio campaign against Ethiopia, unparalleled in this day and age in its violence. The Ethiopian people and leaders have been insulted in the most vituperative and slanderous terms. Somalia's radio has called for revolution in Ethiopia and has incited subversion and sabotage. In all that she has done, Somalia has violated almost daily for the last 3.5 years the most sacred principles of the Charter of the United Nations and Organization of African Unity. Ethiopia has refrained from applying in kind and has limited itself to defending her territory against the Somalia government to end this propaganda against our nation, because we know that such a campaign is calculated permanently to poison relations between the people of Ethiopia and Somalia, and particularly those of ex-British Somaliland who went to Ethiopia to graze here and who also have close commercial relations with our country. 2 weeks ago, Somalia launched a direct armed attack against Ethiopia's security forces along the frontier, and earlier reports that the Somalia government has maintained training centers in Somalia for preparing armed bandits to violate and commit acts of violence and subversion in Ethiopia were conclusively confirmed. Ethiopia promptly recalled the Charter of African Unity and requested an extraordinary meeting of the Council of Ministers of the OAU. Somalia chose not to refer this matter to her African brothers. Instead, in an attempt to involve non-African nations in a dispute that should, initially at least, be considered by Africans, she appealed to the Security Council of the United Nations. In accordance with Ethiopia's request, and belatedly Somalia's, the Council of Ministers met at Dar es Salaam. Ethiopia has observed the resolutions adopted there, but in direct violation of these resolutions, Somalia has seized neither her armed attacks nor her propaganda and has continued her aggression against our nation. In recent days, Somalia has embarked upon a new course. First, she alleged that American and Israeli aircraft were involved in hostilities on Ethiopia's side. Then the British troops had joined Ethiopian forces in action against Somalia. These charges are unfounded and are complete fabrications, as is virtually everything emanating from Mogadishu these days. Ethiopia is self-reliant. We need no non-African assistance to defend our soil. Ethiopia has strained every energy to ensure that Africans themselves refrain from and avoid the shedding of African blood, and that the energies of all of us should be enlisted in this effort. Ethiopia is not boastful. Her history testifies to the courage and bravery she disposes in defending her territory and her independence. She has been preserved with the help of Jah Almighty, who is ever at her side. Thus far, Ethiopia has restrained herself. We shall continue to do so. Yet, we shall defend our soil and our territorial integrity with all the force at our disposal. The permanent solution to this problem lies only in Somalia's final renunciation of the policy of territorial aggrandizement she has unswervingly followed during the last 3.5 years and has led to the sorry state of relations between our two nations today. Our final point must be clear. There is no border conflict between Ethiopia and Somalia. The border is defined in the treaties of 1897 and 1908 that constitute the very basis upon that
you have 1 minute left.
Granted her independence by the United Nations. The frontier in the north, defined in the Treaty of 1897 between Ethiopia and Great Britain, has been formed on the ground for over 30 years. The boundary in the south, defined in the Treaty of 1908 with Italy, has not been so marked, yet half of the countries of the world today live in peace with their neighbors while their common frontiers remain unseparated. When the United Nations placed the former Italian colony of Somaliland under trusteeship in 1950, a provisional administrative line was established by the United Nations, and at Ethiopia's insistence, this line was defined with precision. When Somalia became independent in 1960, the same line
Thank you for using Securus.
The
Goodbye.
Republic. It is clear that the aggression Somalia has committed against Ethiopia is not an isolated incident or an act of recklessness unrelated to some broader pattern. It is part and parcel of the expansionist policy Somalia has consistently adhered to since July 1st, 1960. It is equally clear that this policy is unacceptable to Ethiopia. We seek only peace. We still retain the hope that the people of Somalia, who have on various occasions expressed their deep concern over the policies detrimental to Somalia and her people, may yet repudiate the adventure upon which their leaders have embarked in order that bloodshed may end and tranquility may once again be restored to the Horn of Africa. How far better it would be were the money expended in the pursuit of colony and aggression used instead for the benefit and welfare of the people of Somalia. How far wiser it would be for Somalia's leaders working in a spirit of harmony and friendship for the improvement of relations between our two countries. We have already explained our position to the African leaders who have tried to reconcile our differences with Somalia and who have sent messages and special envoys to us. For their concern and for the interest and sympathy they and their people have manifested, we express our thanks. We have told them that we covet no one's territory, neither will we yield what is ours. We have stated our wish to live in peace and harmony with our neighbors, seeking nothing that is theirs. We also do not seek their hostility. Emperor Haile Selassie, February 24th, 1964.